Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. All right. Shalom. Okay. I want to go. We're going to start. We're going to go right into it. We're going to start it right away. I would like to go to Matthew chapter 24. I love Matthew chapter 24. I want to go to Matthew chapter 24. Okay. Matthew chapter 24. We can go to verse 12. Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. Okay. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. So, first I want to say, right, everybody's talking about the children, killing the children, and our people, black on black crime. And I want you all to understand, because a lot of people are saying that we need outlets for the children to vent and individuals, big brothers, father roles, for our children to go to and to vent so that they can release some of the grief that they have upon their heads. And that would diminish the violence. That's true. I agree with that. But we have a problem, okay? There are many small scale temporary solutions. But the problem is that Christ has already spoken. And I think that's where a lot of us get things misconstrued. A lot of us get things misconstrued right there because Christ has already spoken. And the problem with people is that you all think that you can do what God can only do. That's the problem with people, not just black people, but all people. People in general, they feel as though that they can do what God can do. Okay? None of you can do what God can do. All right? Now, I want to start off with Matthew 24. I want to start off with Matthew 24, and I want to go to verse 12. I only want, you know what? We can start with, let me see. Matthew chapter 24. Let's actually go to verse 7. Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. Okay? For nation, this is the prophecy of Christ. Does any of you think that does any of you out there think that you all know more than Christ? But this is the prophecy of God, the prophecy of the creator of heavens and earth. And he says, for nation shall rise against nation. So I want to stop there for a minute, because that lets you right there know that this whole world, as we go into these last days, things only get worse. Things don't get better. For many of you low-level politicians, celebrities, and internet gurus, you all believe that you have a solution. You don't have a solution. You don't have a solution, and you never will have a solution. Many of you are going to get so angry at what I just said and go start a movement. Go ahead. Certainly it wouldn't hurt, but you are just one man or one woman, and we will never come together as an entire nation, not until Christ returns. Okay? Now, this is the problem right here. The main problem is many of you, not only do many of you all don't believe in Christ, many of you all don't believe he's coming back. That's so far-fetched to you all. That's so much foolishness to you all. And if you can't get past that part, you're never going to be able to stop the violence. How long have we all been attempting to stop? Even if we go out there into the streets, let's say you get a bunch of men go out there into the streets. It will certainly put a dent on it, no doubt about it. You get a bunch of brothers, go out there in the streets. Why don't one of y'all do that? Why one of y'all do that? Go gather up a bunch of men, run out in the streets, and stop the niggas from killing one another then. That will certainly not hurt. I'm not going to do it. That's not my place, because I understand prophecy. My role is to teach Christ, teach the Bible. But many of you, if you think that that's your calling, run out there in the streets. Seriously, I'm not even wishing for your failure. I give you my blessings and truly sincere, and you have my true sincerity of blessings, right? So if that's one of your solutions, then do it. Okay? Nobody's stopping any of you from doing that, right? You have a lot of celebrities on the internet that are coming and speaking about this thing. A lot of Muslims are stepping up and speaking up on it. But a lot of our Muslims, they don't understand either. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay? So when you're somebody who's popular, like many of you all out there, it brings a delusion. It brings arrogance, because you have a lot of followers, everybody doing what you say. But you're only a man, and you're only a woman. There's nothing that you can do to change the course and the cycle of prophecy. You understand that? Nobody's going to change prophecy. Now, I want to add. Let me just start reading. For nation shall, this is Matthew chapter 24. Let's go to verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. Don't you all understand that that's now? This here prophecy is referring to right now. Aren't there earthquakes in various places? Aren't there famines overseas more than ever now in third world countries? Pestilences? Hasn't there been diseases and epidemics and things like that rising to the occasion now? Right? Don't you all understand that we're in the end times? There's only one solution for end times. You understand that? You all don't believe that we're in the end times, do you? You don't believe that. I want to know why many of you in religion don't believe that we're in the end. Why don't you believe that? What prophecies are you all not understanding? What non-belief? Why is it that you all don't believe that at some point in time, all the things that are unraveling in Revelations, all of these things are getting worse? Don't you see these things? Why is it that everybody's head is under a rock? And everybody, oh my God, let's stop the violence. Let's stop the violence. Oh, they're killing one another. Oh, they're killing one another. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, we've been given the solution, but we won't follow it. So Christ then, this is Matthew chapter 24 and then verse 8. Christ is going to say that all of these things are just the beginning of sorrows. You do know that we're in World War III. Y'all know that, right? World War III has begun. Does anybody not believe that? Does anybody have a problem with believing that World War III has not begun? What makes you all think that this is not a world war, or this is not the beginning of a world war? Why would you think that? Why is everybody so at ease? Is it because of unbelief? The only thing I could think of is unbelief. Unbelief would be the only thing that would make a bunch of Negroes not understand, because a lot of the Caucasian, a lot of them are lackadaisical too, but more of them believe that we are in the beginning of World War III than Negroes. More Arabs, especially the Arabs, would have a better understanding that this is the beginning of World War III. I'm not saying that it's going to go full-fledged into World War III within the next year or 2 years. I don't know, because I can't tell dates and times because I'm only a man. But we're definitely at war. Everybody is at war without technically being at war yet. But this is the beginning of things. Don't you understand that? How do we know that? Because Christ said it. Christ said that there will be wars and rumors of wars. And be ye not troubled, for these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. So Christ is saying the end is not yet. When you hear wars and rumors of wars like we're doing now, understand that these things have to happen, is what Christ is saying. But the end is not yet. And Christ is going to say, but these things and the earthquakes and the famines and the pestilences, he said, all these things are the beginning of sorrows. So then we have here, then shall many be offended. Then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. So right now is this time. that Christ is talking about. Then shall many be offended. I apologize. I skipped the verse. Verse 9, he says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Now, I need you all to understand something right there. What's happening right there? Christ right there, Christ is saying, he's talking to the prophets. He's talking to the apostles. He's saying that they shall deliver you up to be afflicted. Who is they? The Negroes, black people, are going to hate the apostles that are speaking to you all today. You're going to hate us and attempt to deliver us up to be afflicted. Who are you Negroes going to try to deliver the prophets of God? Who are you going to try to deliver us to? The white man. It says it right here. You want to deliver us up to be afflicted. And there are other Negroes that shall kill you. So Negroes have killed the prophets in the past. Many of you all have hated the prophets so much that you tried to kill us. You tried to kill some of your forefathers who stepped up and spoke and gave you all the word of Elohim and tried to show you all what's going on according to the scriptures. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. A lot of people need to understand what this is talking about here. It's very important that you need to understand that Christ here is talking to his disciples. Let's go back up. This is Matthew chapter 24. Who is Christ talking to? See, a lot of you all misconstrued that scripture. Many of you all that's in the circumcision. You all think that Christ is talking to all black people. Christ is not talking to all black people. I'm sorry. I know many of you internet gurus out there want to believe that all white people are chosen. All Arab people are chosen. Every single Negro is chosen. And the only thing that separates us is faith. No, that's not necessarily true. Not completely. But it does have some merit. So I won't dwell on that right now. But I want you all to understand right here that it says, let's go up to verse 1, Matthew chapter 24, and we're going to go up to verse 1. And Christ went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples, one last time, his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Christ said unto them, who is Christ talking to? His disciples. He says, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but I want you to understand that this whole prophecy, Matthew 24, Christ is talking to his disciples. So a lot of people misinterpret verse 9 because They say, then shall they deliver you to be afflicted. A lot of Old Testament only people, a lot of camps, and a lot Old Testament only people in camps constantly make this mistake. Camps say that Christ is talking to the whole nation of Israel. No, he's not. Christ is only speaking to his disciples right here. So what he's saying to his disciples is he's saying, they shall deliver you up to be afflicted to the police. They shall deliver you up to the white man, and they shall kill you. So if he's talking to his disciples, who is the they? Because the disciples are Negroes. So if he's talking to the disciples and the disciples of Negroes, the they are other Negroes. He's not saying all black people are going to be delivered up, the whole nation, because that something like that is going to happen. But this is not what he's talking about. He's talking about during the time of the preaching of the gospel. He's not talking about when the purges start and when the civil wars. This is before that. This is before the purges and before the civil wars. And he says, and ye shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. So not only will the disciples, which will later become the apostles, not only are us apostles going to be hated by Negroes, but we're also going to be hated by our own people. Excuse me. We're not only going to be hated by the Caucasians and the Arabs and the other nations, we're also going to be hated by our own people. So the apostles will be hated by our own people because we're different. We do not think like everybody else, nor will we be controlled by you Negroes with great delusions and you Negroes with big platforms and you celebrities and those of you Negroes who are in lower politics and even in higher politics. Now, don't get me wrong. We have to follow the law of the land. Nothing I can do about that. But in terms of being controlled by the foolishness and the foolish solutions that come out of you all's mouths, it's not going to happen. You can speak that trash to the rest of the people, and they will follow you, but not a prophet. You understand that? Not a prophet. We won't do it. Why? Because we only trust Christ. That's why. We don't trust any of you. Your solutions are all people-pleasing solutions. Many of you say, well, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim. It doesn't matter if you're Christian. We all have the same God. Woo, woo. We all believe. No, we don't. That's a lie. That's a lie from the pits of hell. And you're not helping anybody by people-pleasing people and wanting them to believe that. That's not helping anybody. You're destroying souls. So after it says that the apostles are going to be hated by everybody, the apostles are hated by everybody. And after he says that, he's then going to say, and then many shall be offended. See, many people are offended by the apostles and shall be, but it's speaking here that many people will be offended in general. Now, this is not just talking about black folks only, but it's talking about Caucasians, Arabs, camp leaders. No, it's not talking about everybody else. Yeah, this is talking about the whole world, camp leaders. Right here, when it says, you have to understand. Right here it says, and then many shall be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. This is talking about mankind. All of mankind right here will betray one another and hate one another in these last days. But primarily the Negroes. The Negroes, nobody does it like we do it. Nobody hates one another like we hate one another. Nobody does it like that. Okay? And this is what I wanted to say right here. And because iniquity shall abound, because evil shall grow more and more, because evil shall become more abundant, the love of many will grow cold. The love of many will grow cold. Now, I hope y'all understand that. The love of many will grow cold. So now what I want to do is I want to go to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 25. Matthew chapter 12 and verse 25. Matthew chapter 12 and verse 25. So we're just going to start right here. And Christ knew their thoughts. Who is Christ talking to? That's what I need y'all to understand, right? I need you Caucasians, you Arabs, you Chinese people, and you Japanese people, and you Amalekites. I need you all to understand something very, very important. And I need you docile Christians. You docile Christians. Many of you Christians out there whom are extremely docile. I need you to listen. Negro Christians, pay close attention to what I'm about to say to you. Negro Christians. Christ, Yahusha HaMashiach, did not go and speak to Romans, to white people. He didn't. I will delete my account. I will delete my account and cash app any white person. I'll delete my account and cash app any Caucasian $2,500 if you prove to me that Christ went to white people. I'll cash app you $2,500 and I'll delete my account. Prove to me that Christ went to any nation other than the Negroes. I'll delete my account. You all hate my account so much. Here is an opportunity for me to delete my account. Prove to me in scripture that Yahushua the Christ went to any other nation besides Negroes. You docile Negro Christians. That is a proposition for you as well. Negro Christians that get up and go to church every Sunday and don't learn a damn thing. Let me repeat that. Negro Christians that get up and go to church every Sunday and don't learn shit. I challenge you all. Prove to me within the Bible that Christ went to any other nation besides the Israelites, other than Negroes. The scripture says that he came into his own people, and his own people did not accept him, which is the reason why people will not accept his disciples. You won't accept his disciples because you didn't accept him. If there's anybody that can prove to me that God in the flesh went anywhere outside of Judea, I'm not going to say outside of Judea, but went to any other nation and preached to them. I didn't say that he didn't talk or speak with any Romans, because he did speak to Romans individually. But Christ never went to Roman multitude, told them to sit down, and taught them the scriptures. It never, ever, ever, ever happened. Now, I need you all to understand something. With that being said, let's continue to read. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. And Yahusha knew their thoughts and said unto them, who is he talking to? Negroes. He's not talking to the disciples alone here. He's talking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Pharisees and the Sadducees were the Sanhedrin. A good example of the Pharisees today is the camp, IUIC, amongst other larger camps. They are a good example of Pharisees, okay? Because the Pharisees were always bringing in the law of Moses, right? But the camps today, they disguise themselves under Christ. Sure, they believe in Christ, but if they really believe in Christ, then they would know Christ's identity based upon the scriptures. And moreover, they would understand that Christ is not born of a biological man. He's not the biological father of Joseph. So if you believe in something, you have to believe in things wholeheartedly. You can't believe in the parts that you want to believe in and not believe in other parts that you don't want to believe in. A doctrine is a doctrine in its completeness. You cannot take or add away from a specific doctrine. That's blasphemy. So who is Yahusha the Christ speaking to here? He's speaking to Negroes, most likely wicked Negroes, because there are a lot of wicked Negroes. And what is Christ saying here? He knew their thoughts, and he said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house against itself shall not stand. The reason why we black folks are in turmoil is because we are divided and we have turned our back on our Creator. We have turned our back on our Creator and we have followed falsehood. We follow falsehood and lies, and we have abandoned our Creator. This is treachery. Don't you understand that? The Negro has committed treason. We have went against the commonwealth of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let me repeat that, because I don't think that many of you all understand this. This is for the internet gurus and the celebrities that think that you are leaders. You think that you can step up, and you think that you can be leaders, and you think that your solutions will come to pass. Okay? It says here that every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. That's what Christ said. I don't care what the rest of you are saying. The rest of you are speaking garbage in comparison to what Christ, our Creator, has already told us. Your solutions are garbage. You want to prove me wrong? Go ahead and try to prove me wrong. But this is the problem. It's not me that you're attempting to prove wrong. I'm regurgitating the master. And the master said, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. How do you think we're going to stand if we are divided? So now, is there anybody that thinks that they can bring together the entire nation of black people? Some cult leaders in certain camps think that they're going to accomplish that. And they actually have foolish followers that believe that they're going to accomplish. Let me tell you all what IUIC thinks, because you all think that I have a hatred for IUIC. No, I don't. I just know that they're a cult by definition, and they believe that they are the 144,000. So whoever is an IUIC member is one of the 144,000. That is a lie from the depths and the pits of hell. Your camp is not the 144. That doesn't mean that there aren't people in your camp that might be members of the 144, maybe. But the 144 isn't your camp. That's foolishness. How can the 144 be your camp and your Sanhedrin is evil? How? When your Sanhedrin is evil? How could your camp possibly be the elite or the elect? How? But many of you in IUIC, you believe that, don't you? You believe that, don't you? Why do you believe that? Because a man that bleeds blood, breathes air, and with bones and skin told you that? So we need to understand something right here, right? Christ is telling us right now that not even, he says, a nation against itself. So are we against one another as black people? And you all are probably saying, well, listen, we understand that. We understand that. That's what we're trying to find solutions to now. But these are the problems that we're trying to solve now. Okay. So solve them. Solve the problems. But we're already a nation that is separated, and we can't stand one another. And people say, well, we need unity. Of course we need unity. Certainly we need unity. But let me ask you a question, right? How can we get unity? Because many of you all are misinterpreting unity. You all think that unity is when what Christ is referring to, he started. Let me read that again, because I think I see where you all are going wrong. Pay attention, right? He said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. So a kingdom is a nation. Okay? He says every kingdom or every nation that's divided against itself is brought to nothing. Okay? So he started at nation level. Don't y'all understand that? He's not talking about a faction. So IUIC is a faction. The Nation of Islam is a faction. The mosque on Lancaster is a faction. The church on 52nd Street, 52nd and Master is a faction, right? Or let's just say, because you can't even say that all Christians are one faction. Why? Because there's different denominations of Christianity, and not all Christians are on the same page. Not all Muslims are on the same page. The Nation of Islam, and the Orthodox Islam are not on the same page. The Nation of Islam is a cult, just like IUIC, because the Nation of Islam honor and worship men. And the Orthodox Muslim does not worship men. The Orthodox Muslim at least has the sense to worship Allah, which is a higher power, allegedly, but at least the Orthodox Muslim believes in a God, they believe in a power, and so does the Nation of Islam. But you hold regard Farrakhan and Farad and Elijah Muhammad more than you hold the Quran at a standard. That doesn't make any sense. All I hear about is people regurgitating the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's dead. Elijah Muhammad is dead. Farad is dead, and they'll never come back to life. And Christ, Yahushua HaMashiach, lives. So tell me now, do you all see your problems? We have all of these factions, so there's unity within each faction, but Christ's ways, just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are the thoughts of Christ higher than our thoughts, and so is the ways of Yahuwah higher than our ways, because Christ is not talking about factions. Factions among a nation is division. You understand what I'm saying? Because none of us are on the same page. So Christ is concerned about us as an entire nation. You get it? That's unity. So certainly we have arrogant men out there that believe that they are going to unify the entire nation of Black people. And that could not be, nothing could be further from the truth or more delusional. I'm warning you all about people that are leaders of cults and organizations. They have a sense of delusion with them. They believe that they are going to they believe that they are going to do God-like things, right? The things that Christ said that he would return and do, they believe they're going to do before Christ comes. Okay? And in most cases, when you have organizations with men at the helm, in many cases, they're producing a fruit that will keep us out of the kingdom. Because many of you all don't even after I proved who Christ was, time after time again, not just me in particular, but I don't really know anybody else that's really standing for Christ to the point where that I am in terms of his identity. But for the most part, men are delusional. And I understand why people would say, man, listen, you ain't doing nothing, man. You just talking trash, man. Nobody, you get on your internet, man, and you talk your trash, man. and nobody's listening to you, man. Farrakhan is doing this and he's doing that. And respect to Farrakhan, by the way. Respect to him. But I don't believe in Farrakhan. I respect Farrakhan as a man, but I don't believe in Farrakhan. And I don't believe in Nat of IUIC. I don't believe in any of these men. I don't believe in any of you internet gurus either. I don't believe in any of you. None of you. I don't believe in none of you. You understand what I'm telling you? And if you all are promoting for a people to believe in you, you have your just due judgment coming to you, right? Because everybody's a people pleaser nowadays. Everybody. So we need to understand that a house divided against itself, it simply cannot stand. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28. I want to go to Deuteronomy. Where did I start with that? I started right there. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And what did I want to do? Did I want to go to verse 53? Okay. I want to start off at the top. I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and I want to start off at the top. Deuteronomy chapter 28. I want to start off at verse 1. I want any of you black people out there, any of you Negroes, let me know if we are in, if we have these things. Okay? Black people, I'm asking you a question. I'm about to read some things, and I want any of you to think to yourself, are you living this life? Okay? Are you living this life? This is Deuteronomy chapter, oh wait, did I get it right? Chapter 28. I'm starting off at the top. At that time, oh, wait a minute. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command you today, to observe and do all of his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahuwah thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. That's the first question. I want to ask you Negroes, are we set on high above all the nations of the earth? This is just a straight up question. Of course we're not. We're not set on high above the nations of the earth. Right? Where are we at as a black folk? Where are we at as a nation? We're on the bottom. Now, is anybody disagreeing with that? Are we at the top as a nation, or are we on the bottom? We are on the bottom. Okay, let's keep going. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken. If thou shalt hearken. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Okay. So now, so y'all can hear me. So now, I'm asking you all a question. And all these blessings shall come to pass. All these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy power. So it says that all these blessings shall come to pass and shall overtake thee if we listen to the voice of our Creator. Do us as Black people, do we have so many blessings that they're overtaking us? Meaning, do we have so many blessings that are we having so many blessings that we don't know what to do with all of these blessings? We got so many blessings that we just need to take them and give them back to God because we have so many blessings. Okay? Of course we don't. And it says in verse 3, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, and it says in verse 3, it says, blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. So, are we blessed in the city? Are our inner children, are our inner city children blessed? Huh? Are we blessed in the field? We don't even have farms. Our people don't even have farms. How are we blessed in the field and we don't even have farms? Right? How are we blessed in the city and we have welfare and we have children killing children and we have all of these baby mamas and we have all of these fathers leaving the household, right? How are we blessed? So many of you will admit that we're not blessed as a people. Maybe we have certain individual Negroes who may be blessed, but remember, we want to talk about Christ is referring to nation level, right? Because that's all Christ is worried about, right? So we're talking about nation level. So now verse 4, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 4, he says, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body. So blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, right? Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. So, in other words, the things that we have, right? But see, not many of us have farms. Okay? So this is talking about having a farm, you know, the fruit of the cattle, the increase of the kind, and the flocks of the sheep. You know, back in those days, our ancestors that had all of those things were wealthy, right? They were wealthy, right? So that's if you had those things. But today is different, right? So now this is talking about real estate and businesses, right? There's a lot of us that have real estate and a lot of us that have businesses and things of that nature, right? But the majority of us are in the inner cities. The majority of us, right? But let's keep reading. It says, blessed shall be thy basket and thy voice. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Does this sound like Black people as a whole? It says, The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. Do any of you understand what that just said right there? So, what that is saying right there, what that's saying right there is that's saying that if the Ku Klux Klan came against our people, came against us as a whole, it's saying whatever nation came against us, comes against us, that he would cause this nation to be smitten before us. This nation would come at us as a people. This nation would come at us, right, from one direction, and Christ would protect us. And he would destroy this nation before our very eyes. So this nation would come at us from one direction to attack us. Christ would protect us and send that nation running, separated many different directions, because he's defeated. And now this nation is fleeing from us. But at any given time, if the other nations that hate us decided to attack us as a people, and this is going to happen eventually. There are things, the movie The Purge is true. It's going to happen. You all don't believe me, do you? The trouble for Black people is coming. It's coming. And not one celebrity, not one Instagram guru, not one Negro politician, nobody, not 1 million, not Tyler Perry, not Oprah Winfrey, not Jay-Z, not Kanye West, none of them can stop it. What Christ has spoken will happen. Everything that Christ spoke, it will happen. I hope y'all understand that, right? So let's keep moving, right? So now we want to go to verse 8. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses and in all that thou settest thy hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So, did Christ give America to the Negro? Does America belong to the Negro? Is this our country? Is this our land? No, it can't be our land. You know why this is not our land? Because we are vastly outnumbered by Caucasians. Vastly. There are about 275 million Caucasians in this country. At least 250 million white people. To about 50 million to 60 million Negroes. And I'm exaggerating. I don't think that there's 50 million Negroes here in the United States. But the benefit of the doubt, can 50 million people stand against 250 million people? Right? Now, I'm not saying that this is supposed to be some type of war, but there are a lot of Caucasians that hate us. Not all Caucasians hate us, but a lot of them do. Okay? Not all of them hate us, but a lot of them do. Okay? Now, I'm going to read one more. I'm going to go to verse 9, and I'm going to read verse 9. And then I think I've made my point. Let's go to verse 9, where it says, Yahuwah shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahuwah thy Elohim, and walk in his ways. I need to read that 2 more times, because the problem here is that people don't believe this. Listen to what it says. Verse 9, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 9, and it says, Yahuwah shall establish thee an holy people unto himself. Now, I want to say something, right? Because a lot of Caucasians get angry with me, right? How can this be talking about the whole world? How can this be talking about everybody on the planet? He says, the Yahuwah shall establish thee and set apart people, meaning a sanctified people, unto himself. Christ set the Israelites as a sanctified people unto himself. You docile Christians, docile Negro Christians, docile Negro Christians that want to be people pleasers to the Caucasians of your ministry. And I want the Caucasians and the Arabs and all the other nations to listen very carefully to what I have to say to you. And I mean it from the heart. I don't hate anybody. And I mean it. I don't hate anybody. But I'm not a people pleaser. And just as the feelings of my own people can go into the garbage, so can your feelings. Your feelings can go into the garbage just as quick, even quicker than the feelings of my own people. Because I want you all to understand that this is not referring to everybody on the planet. That's illogical. Christ set the Israelites, he set us Negroes apart from all the other nations on the planet. And he took us to be a portion to himself. But what I want to say to you black people here is, are we treated like we're royalty on this planet, or are we treated like dung? Do the other nations, specifically the Arabs and the Chinese, because don't get me wrong, I happen to think the Arabs and the Chinese, not all Arabs, okay? But we're talking about as an entirety. We're talking about on the level of a nation for a brief minute. The nation of China don't like the nation of Negroes. I'm not saying you don't have good Chinese people. The nation of Saudi Arabia does not like the nation of Negroes. And I've told many of you all on a constant basis that I've met some very good Arabs. I know some good Arabs. And I know Arabs that treat me just like their people when I go into their establishments. I know good Arabs, but I also know racist Arabs. And I know that a lot of Arabs don't want many of you Negroes in their mosques, but you Negroes are hard of hearing, right? Now, it also says, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by my name, by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. So does this sound like he's talking about everybody on the planet? He says, and all the people of the earth shall see that you are called by my name, and they shall be afraid. So us as Israelites are called by his name. So this is not talking about all the people on the planet. Now, there's a reason why I read that. Because the next 4 verses are also blessings. I want you all to understand right here, Deuteronomy 28, that the first 14 passages or the first 14 verses are blessings. Let me say that again. The first 14 verses of Deuteronomy are blessings. Okay? The first 14 are blessings. And how many verses does this have? And do I have that on here? So I do. Okay. So Deuteronomy 28 has 68 verses. Deuteronomy 28 has 68 verses. The first 14 verses are blessings. Let me repeat that. Deuteronomy 68 has 68 verses. The first 14 verses are blessings. And what are the blessings based upon? Let's go all the way up to the top. What are the blessings based upon? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 says, and it shall come to pass if we as a Negro shall hearken diligently unto the voice of our Creator, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahuwah thy power will set thee on high above all the nations. But we are at the bottom, aren't we? So these blessings of chapter 28, of chapter Deuteronomy 28, these blessings are not upon us as a people. These blessings are not upon us as a people. But let me tell you something. Let me repeat what I said. Deuteronomy chapter 28 has 68 verses, with the first 14 verses being a what if the possibility of us following the instructions of the Bible. Only then will those first 14 verses be applied to us. Every verse after 14, after every verse after Deuteronomy chapter 28:14, immediately after the 14th verse, all the way to 68 is curses. Is curses. Let me repeat that again. What I just read to you all were good things. If we were an obedient people, a people who did not turn our backs on the Most High, but we are traitors and we have turned our backs on our Most High. So therefore, everything that we are experiencing as a black people is Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 to 68. We have skipped the blessings 1 through 14 because of our treachery. So we as a Negro now live our lives according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 to 68. The curses, not the blessings. And I want y'all to hold that for a minute. Okay? Hold that for a minute. Hold that for 1 minute. All right? I just need to get some more water. We're experiencing the curses, not the blessings, but the curses. Okay? So now, let's continue. Let's continue. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Now, let's stay in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's stay in Deuteronomy chapter 28. And let's start at verse 50, and we're going to read down we're going to go down to verse 57. We're going to stay in Deuteronomy 28, and we're going to start at verse 50 to 57. Now, we already understand that verses 15 all the way to 68 are the curses. So where am I going? I'm going to some of the curses that many of you all are talking about today. These children are killing one another, right? Well, we have to understand something. This is because we don't follow the laws and the statutes that Christ gave us. Okay? We don't bring our children up in the commandments. Now, let's not get it twisted, right? No family is going to be perfect. No family is going to be perfect, right? Never. My family is not perfect. My daughter is a little ungrateful heifer, right? That's what she is. That's what she is. Shoot me. That's what she is, right? A little ungrateful heifer, right? But now, listen, no family is going to be perfect, even under the commandments. Even if you bring your children up in the commandments, children are going to do what they're going to do, right? But you have to understand something. If we had at least followed the guidelines, then Christ would be with us. And we wouldn't be in the turmoil. We wouldn't be a divided nation the way we are today. You understand what I'm saying? Let's start at let's stay in Deuteronomy 28. And let's start at verse 50. Okay? Christ is going to say, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. So, what Moses is saying here is a nation of fierce countenance, meaning a murderous nation, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. Right? He says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle. So, in other words, this Christ is going to send to us a nation, right? Christ is going to send a nation, a wicked nation, to our people. This was a prophecy. He was going to send a nation, an evil nation, to capture us and devour us, and so that we would be under the commonwealth of their law. Because once upon a time, as you can see, our people were under the commonwealth of Yahuwah, our creator. Many of you have a problem with believing that. Now, many of you all are under the commonwealth of false gods. Therefore, we've all now been put because remember, Christ is speaking to us as an entire people. Christ doesn't deal with factions. He doesn't deal with 5,000 here and 2,500 there and 1,500 there. All Negroes with all different beliefs. Christ doesn't look at things from the small perspective. He's talking about us as an entire people, as an entire nation. Y'all still think y'all have the solution? Do you arrogant people out there still believe that you have the solution? Huh? You still think you got the solution? Well, now listen. So he said, this nation is going to eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, meaning this nation is going to come and pillage and take from us as a people, right? Which also it says here, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he has destroyed thee. So, we talking about black on black crime. Hold tight, because I'm going to give you an understanding of what's going on here. So, us as a black people are here surrounded by 300 million people of other ethnicity. Okay? We got about 250 million Caucasians, and then the rest is Chinese, Arab, Chinese Americans, Arab Americans, Japanese Americans, right? And all of the kind, the Chinese Americans, the Arab Americans, everybody is held on a higher playing field than us. They all have a head start. All of them have a head start before us. They all are on a higher pedestal than we are, right? Why is that? Because to an extent, they're all Esau. To an extent, they're all Esau, right? All of them. The Chinese people, they've been intermingled with Esau. The Arabs have been intermingled with Esau. The Japanese have been intermingled with Esau. Esau has intermingled with every nation. This is what you all don't understand. So you can call them Chinese, and you can call them half Esau. You can call them Arab, and you can call them half Esau. So what you need to understand is there really, at the end of the day, are only two nations. There's only two nations at the end of the day. I told you all that before. At the end of the day, now there's really technically only two nations. Technically. Why? Because Esau is the father of the China man. He's the father of the Arab man. You are what your father is. Esau has raped and pillaged every nation and has whited out every nation except the Israelites. Esau has whited out every nation except us Negroes, which is the reason why the other nations are now light-skinned. Man, what this got to do with black on black crime, man? What this got to do with see, that's your problem. You think too small. You don't understand where this is stemming from. You don't understand where it's stemming from. Now, we know that this is a vicious nation that's going to come and take and rape and pillage and do all of these things, right? And it says, he shall besiege thee in all the gates. So he's going to besiege, or he's going to distress the Israelites as a nation until thy high and fenced walls come down. Wherein thou trustedest, thou art all thy land. It says, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all the land which Yahuwah Elohim hath given thee. So at this time we were in Jerusalem. We were in thy land, right? But Christ is telling us that if we don't follow his rules and regulations, this nation is going to come, knock down the walls of Jerusalem, take everything we have. Now, this has been happening over and over and over and over and over again to us black people by different nations, all the way into these days, these end days, when now that the white man got hold of us. And for many of you think that the white man don't got hold of you, you a damn foolish person, because he has his grasps. His commonwealth is spread throughout the world. Okay? And it says here, right? And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which Yahuwah God hath given thee in the siege and in the straitness. The straitness is like a distress. The straitness is trouble, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. And it says here, so that the man that is tender among you. So because of all of this oppression, right, we are going to have war amongst one another, because it says it right here. It says, see, the reason why we have these children that's acting this way is because our parents and our parents' parents, and our parents' parents' parents have been traitors. We have separated ourselves from the laws of the Bible, and we have separated ourselves from our God. And we only think of our own solutions. And this has been the problem with our people for thousands of years. We think of our own solutions, right? Solutions of our own, right? And none of them have worked because we constantly go through this shit over and over and over and over and over again. None of the solutions of none of the arrogant leaders have succeeded. None of them. Right? None of the solutions of none of the arrogant leaders have succeeded. So it says, so the man that is tender among you, so one of your brothers who is weak, right? Because hatred and jealousy is weakness. So we have hatred and jealous for one another, right? Which is a weakness, by the way. It's not a strength. It just means that we're weak. It says, so the man that is tender among you, the man that is delicate among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. So we're in this distress as a people. Poverty. We are divided. So we're under the commonwealth of the oppressor. So you got police on Negro crime, where KKK, police officers by day and KKK by night, right? Police officers by day and the KKK by night, right? What do? They come upon our people and shoot us dead in the streets, right? Right? So all of these oppressions that are on us, that are against us, for us not having any control of anything, right? All of these things are stressful, right? Do you know a ghetto is a place where Jews live? So if you want to know who the true Jews are, if you want to know who the true Israelites are, if you go to the Bible right now and you look up the definition of ghetto, it's going to say where Jews live. But wait a minute. The people who you all think are Jews, they don't live in the ghetto. Those white men, those pale men with the long beards and the kufis that you all call Jews, what ghetto do they live in? Who are the people that are in the so-called ghettos today? Go look up the definition of Jew. Go look up the definition of ghetto. It means a place where Jews reside. So isn't that interesting? They know we're Jews, but we don't know that we're Jews. Right? So it's telling you here that weak men are going to be envious and jealous and have evil towards other black men, towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and even toward his children, which he's going to eventually leave them. He's going to leave the children, right? And then listen to what else it says. It says, so that he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. So this is talking about another nation coming from afar and taking Jerusalem under siege. But I need y'all to understand something. We're not in Jerusalem today. And it's very important that you understand how to apply this, because Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Remember, I keep telling y'all that. Okay? Israel is a people before it's a place. So I don't care who is in Israel right now. They're not Israel. The true Israel is by blood. We, as the true Israelites, are Israel, and we are Jerusalem. We don't have to be within Israel and Jerusalem to claim that. We're it by blood. You understand that? So even though this is talking about a nation from afar, a powerful nation, coming and besieging where we live, this is not our land, but we're still Jerusalem. So this is the same thing is happening in captivity as when our forefathers were in our own land. There's no difference. You understand what I'm saying? We as a people have been the oppressed people all the way from the beginning. Okay? And because of this constant oppression, it has made us mad. We don't understand the rules and regulations of Christ. The 10 Commandments, we don't follow the commandments. We kill our brothers. We steal from our brothers. We covet our brothers. We don't respect our mothers and our fathers. And because of this, we're cursed. None of you can lift the curse. Nobody can lift the curse. The only person that can lift the curse is Christ. That's it. Nobody can lift the curse. And some of you will say, well, we ain't getting involved in all of that, and it's not happening to us, and that's fine. But hang tight, because let's not forget, we are all together, whether we like it or not. Whether you are the Nation of Islam, whether you are a camp, whether you are a Christian denomination, a Muslim denomination, a Catholic denomination, what you all fail to realize is at the end of the day, you are still an Israelite. And everything applies to your black ass. There are no solutions that are permanent. Temporary solutions, go out there, do your thing. Do what you can do for your own people. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to stop prophecy. You understand that? Prophecy is prophecy. What does it tell you here? It tells you here, and then it says, and toward him, and then it says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward her husband. So even our women, it says here that her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. And then it's going to say, and toward her young one, the young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children, which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and the distress, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. So when it says she shall eat thee, it's not talking about cannibalism. It's talking about our parents have, and great grandparents and great great grandparents, our people constantly destroy their daughters and their sons because we don't teach them Christ. We don't teach them our Creator. We have turned our back on our Creator. This is why these things are taking place. This is why these things are taking place. So you can't be somebody of a faction and somebody of religion and then come and try to give a solution. Somebody that believes in Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Easter, the Easter Bunny, right? You can't believe in all of those things and then want to give solutions, because the only solution is Christ. The only solution is the Bible. That's it. The only solution is the Bible. Let's go. Let's go and let's go to Hosea 4:6. Let's go to Hosea 4:1-6. 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 And it says, "Hear the word of Yahuwah, ye children of Israel, for Yahuwah hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of God in the land." So here it is again in Hosea. So it's saying that, hear the word of Yahuwah, ye children of Israel. Okay? So Christ has only ever really dealt with one nation. I need everybody to understand this. This is just the truth. I'm not here for the feelings of the foreigners. Christ has only dealt with one nation. Now, I'm not saying that he hasn't dealt with foreigners individually. We know he's dealt with Cyrus. We know he healed the Roman and he showed respect for the Roman centurion. We know he dealt with Caleb. We know that he dealt with what's that Moab woman, and we know Christ has dealt with individuals of other nations. Job was not an Israelite. Job was an Edomite. Okay? Job was an Edomite, and Job wasn't a prophet. I'm sick and tired of people saying the Negro Israelite, the Negro prophet Job. Job wasn't a prophet. Maybe he was. Prove it to me. You know, I'm actually not sure, because I don't think Job was a prophet. If it says he was a prophet, okay, fine. But I doubt it. I don't think Job was a prophet. But if he is, he is. But at the end of the day, Job was, he couldn't have been a prophet because he wasn't an Israelite. He wasn't an Israelite, so he couldn't have been a prophet. Okay? So Job wasn't an Israelite. So Christ dealt with individual people that were not Israelites. I'm not saying that Christ won't deal with individual people who might be a Caucasian, might be an Arab, might be a Chinaman. I didn't say that. I didn't say that Christ doesn't deal with people individually, because he does. But the only nation, see, we're on the scale of a nation. That's what I need you all to understand. And the reason why our children are killing each other in the inner cities is because our nation is divided. And when the nation is divided, the households become divided. And because our households are divided, this is why. The only way that, so we need to understand what's going on here, right? So it's going to say here, Hear the word of Yahuwah, ye children of Israel. This is Hosea chapter 1 through, I'm reading Hosea chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. Hosea chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. Pay attention to what he's going to say. He's going to say, hear the word of God, ye children of Israel. For Yahuwah hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of God, no knowledge of God, no knowledge of God, no knowledge of God, no knowledge of our Creator in the land. So we're not talking about Jerusalem, the land, and we're not talking about Israel, the state, where Jerusalem is the capital. We're not talking about Israel. We're talking about a people. Jerusalem and Israel is a people before it's a place. So we need to understand these things to know that he's talking to a specific people, no matter where we're at. I don't care if we were at the depths of the sea. We're an Israelite. I don't care if we were all burning in the heatest of the furnaces. You're still an Israelite. I don't care if Christ took us all to the one foundation, which is where time stops. At the end of the day, we're still Israelites. It don't matter where we are in the universe, we're Israelites. So he's saying that there's no truth among black people. There's no truth among us. Just think about it. You Negroes don't believe the truth. Who doesn't believe the truth? I already know the other nations don't. They don't believe the truth. They're not supposed to believe the truth. But Christ is our creator. We're supposed to believe him, and we don't believe him. And do we have mercy with one another? No. We hate one another within our heads. We despise one another. We hate each other. We hate each other. We hate each other. There's no mercy among us. There's no mercy, right? And we don't know who Christ is. We don't know who he is. Yet he's been trying to tell us year after millennium, after bicentennial, after century, or shall I say year after century, after bicentennial, after millennium, he's been trying to tell us who he is. He's been saying, listen, back in the Old Testament, I tried to put my wings over you niggas, and you wouldn't let me. I tried to take you in as a people and show you my love, but you wouldn't listen. You niggas continue to play the whore. You continue to play the prostitute, and you continue to turn your back on your creator. That's what you continue to do, right? And then he's going to say, what else do you niggas do? By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery. They break out the blood, and blood toucheth blood. So we're doing all of these things. We're committing adultery. We're stealing. We're killing. We're lying. And we're making promises that we can't keep. And blood touches blood. So we have blood on our hands as a people. With who? Amongst one another. Amongst one another. We have blood on our hands amongst one another. He says, therefore shall the land mourn, or shall the land of Jerusalem cry, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish. Everyone that dwelleth in Jerusalem shall be in mourning and sadness, it says, with the beasts of the field, even the beasts of the field, the lions and tigers and bears. He said, and with the fowls of the air, the eagles, the hawks, the vultures. Yeah, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. He says, yet let no man strive, nor reprove another, for thy people are they that strive with the priest. So, in other words, Christ gave us priests during these times, and we didn't listen to the priests, right? He says, why? Because every one of you niggas knew everything. Every single individual one of you knew it all. You all knew it all. So you went to war with the priests of the land, right? He says, therefore thou shalt fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother. He says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. You've rejected Christ. I will also reject thee, that thou be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, of thy God. I will forget thy children. Christ said he was going to forget our children. He said this 3,000 years ago. He said he was going to forget our children. He's going to forget them. Why is he forgetting them? Because the children were never taught Christ. They were never taught Yahuwah. Maybe not Christ, because Christ, these weren't the children of light. They didn't understand Christ then. Christ was prophesied, but Christ had not stepped, by technicality, Christ had not stepped on the scene. He's the God of the Old Testament. But according to knowledge and by technicality, Christ had not yet stepped on the scene, but technically, right? So the Most High is telling our forefathers here, because we have forgotten his law, he's also going to forget our children. He's going to forget our children. Y'all don't have no solutions. He's going to forget our children. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1. Let's go to verse 14. Isaiah chapter 1. And let's go to verse 14. Isaiah chapter 1. Let's go to verse 14. Okay. So Isaiah chapter 1, verse 14, and it says, your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hateth. So, us Negroes got all these festivities. We got all these religious festivities. Christ says, y'all do know that he's talking to black people again. Y'all know that, right? See, a lot of you don't understand the Bible. The Most High Christ in the entire Bible, 98%, 90, it's probably more than that. 99% of the time, Yahuwah is speaking to Negroes. That's the problem y'all have with not understanding the Bible. He's speaking to Israelites. When Christ came, he came to the Israelites. Christ is the Old Testament God also. He's speaking to niggas. And he says, your new moons and your festivities or your appointed feasts, my soul hateth. I can't stand them. He said, they are a trouble unto me, and I am weary to bear them. He says, and when ye spread forth your hands, when you Negroes spread forth your hands in all your false festivities, I will not hear. He says, when you spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yeah, I will make, when ye make ye prayers, and I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Niggas always been killing niggas. We've always been doing it. Generation after generation after generation after generation after generation after generation after generation. We are the only nation that has always hated one another and has always been divided. He tells us again, he says, I will not hear your prayers, you Negroes. Your hands are full of blood. He says, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease, stop doing evil. He says, learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless. He says, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. He says, come now, let us reason. This is Christ. This is the Father talking to us Negroes. He says, well, he's really talking to Isaiah. This is the message that he wants Isaiah to give you Negroes. He says, come now, let us reason together. See our Father, see how he feels, see what he feels about us, see how much he loves us. He's the God of the Old Testament, right? He says, come now, let us reason together, saith Yahuwah. He says, though your sins, your wickedness, your evil be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. So he's trying to clean us off. He wants us to return to him. He wants us to come back to him so that he can wash our sins away, right? And then he says in verse 19, this is Isaiah chapter 1, verse 19. And he says, if ye be willing, if you Negroes would be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. There goes that blessing again, saying if we would just listen to him, then we're going to eat the good of the land. Meaning he's going to turn our oppression, right? But guess what? He knows that we're not going to listen. When he was saying all of this 3,000 years ago, he knew the true Negroes, the ancestors of us Negroes, he knew they wasn't going to listen to him. He says, but if thou refuse, then he gives the ultimatum. If thou refuse to listen to me and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. Nothing good will come to us Negroes for being prostitutes and traitors. Nothing good will come to us. Don't you understand that? Nothing good will come to us. He also says, he says, how is the faithful city become a harlot? It's right here. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 21. This is Christ speaking with his own mouth. He says, how have you niggas become prostitutes? That's what he says. He says, it was full of judgment, righteous lodged in it. But now murderers, but now murderers, but now murderers, but now murderers, but now murderers. He says, thy silver is become dross, meaning it's no good. Thy wine mixed with water. Your wine is mixed. That's a metaphor, meaning the wine is diluted, meaning you're diminished. You're becoming no good to me. He says, thy princes are rebellious. Your Instagram gurus, your politicians, your Negro politicians, your celebrities, right? All of these people, your camp leaders, your church leaders, right? It says, thy princes are rebellious. That's what it says. It says, and companions of thieves, right? He says, your leaders, church leaders, camp leaders, they're companions of thieves. It says, every one of them loveth gifts and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow to come unto them. Right? It says, therefore saith Yahuwah of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies. Wait a minute. So we know he's talking to his own people here. He's not talking to white people. He's not talking to Arab people. He's not talking to Chinese people, Japanese people. He's not even talking to the Amalekites here. Now, are those people that I just mentioned his enemies? Yes. But that's not who he's talking to here. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading because this is important. He says, therefore, saith the Lord, Yahuwah of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy dross and take away all thy sin. God damn. The creator of heaven and earth just called you niggas his enemies. He just called black people his enemies right here. Why? Because we don't listen. You mean to tell me y'all got Christ that mad? So he has to purge away our evil. And the only way he's going to get rid of the evil black people is to kill them. Don't you understand that these young children out here just killing one another? A lot of them are being taken by Christ. Y'all think y'all going to stop that? Y'all think y'all going to stop Christ from taking whomever he willeth? It says here, And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, thou shalt be called the city of righteousness and the faithful city. So the enemies that he's referring to here is the wicked niggas, the wicked Israelites. You all have to die. Those of you that despise the counsel of Christ, you hate his apostles and prophets, you hate me, you hate us, you hate government and commonwealth, you hate the government and the commonwealth of Yahushua, Yahuwah, the creator of heavens and earth. You hate the counsel, the Bible. You hate the counsel of Christ. You hate it. You have to die. You don't believe that? You don't believe it? Many of you, in your arrogance, you don't believe it. What do you think is going to eventually happen to you traitors? Now, some of you all are warriors. Christ is not killing warriors. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, Catholic, Negro. Christ is not going to kill his warriors. He's going to change you all's mind. Watch when I tell you. And that's another message. But it says here, after he purges the wicked Negroes, Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together, and they that forsake Yahuwah shall be consumed. For you, he's talking to Negroes. He's specifically talking to the Negroes right here. Yes, he is. I'll delete my account if any of you can prove that he's talking to the whole world. Many of you, you Christians, you white Christians, and you docile Negro Christians, you swear Christ is talking to everybody. You are a foolish person. Christ is talking to his people. And this is a warning to his people right here. Those of you who have an evil eye for your brother and a hatred for your brother just because he's telling you the truth. Just like Paul says, have I become your enemy because I have told you the truth. Let's end this. Let's end this. I just want to say something real quick. I want to go to, I think it's 2 Chronicles 7:14. Is it 2 Chronicles 7:14? I don't know if I got it right. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 7:14. 2 Chronicles 7:14. He says, if my people, which are called by my name, is the whole world called by his name? See, y'all think I'm trying to be hatred. Y'all think I'm trying to throw shade. You docile Negro Christians, you need to be quiet. Shut your face. Christ has a set apart people, the Israelites, whom he set apart from the rest of the world as a portion unto himself. But not all of us can go for the ride because a lot of us are evil. It says here, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Give us back our land and heal our sin. Then he'll heal us. Our solutions won't work. They won't work because we are a nation divided and a household divided. You understand? It's not. Our solution is in the Bible. You arrogant, narcissistic celebrities and internet gurus and low-level politicians. Once you Negroes get in office or get on some type of board, you think you know everything. And you know nothing because you despise the one who bought you. You despise Christ. And if you don't despise Christ, you don't listen to Christ. Y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen to Christ. And is there something else that I want to give y'all? Is there something else that I want to give y'all? Trying to see here. I don't know. I thought it was one more thing that I wanted to give y'all. No, I guess that was it. That's the only solution. That's the only way out.